All right, everybody, welcome back to HashrateUp, another news episode. It's been a while, we need to talk. HashrateUp, hardware sales, advisory, hosting, and site brokerage. Find new and used ASIC deals through the website and the Telegram channel below. Make smarter decisions with HashrateUp. All right, before we start, I want to give you guys a quick market snapshot. As I said, it's been a while. We're currently looking at a minus 3.5 difficulty adjustment. We are at 3220 hash price. The Bitcoin denominated hash price is at 45,400 sats. The current trend has not yet reversed. If we look at the SMA 30 days, you can see from the top here the decline is steady. We are now at 972 exahashes on the 30 days SMA. If you look at the 5-year, immense growth, and now we're stagnating, going back. Currently, the news are dominated by developments around AI. Today is no different. Starting off with Auradine rebranding as Valora AI, Teraflux inventory to in-house Bitcoin mining. They've been looking for a lot of hosting recently because demand for ASICs in general has declined, and a lot of the proposed buyers for their hydro machines, for their air-cooled machines, were not just private Bitcoin miners, but largely also public Bitcoin miners. And as we know, they're all driving towards AI, especially Mara, who've also recently pivoted to that direction. Then we have Bitdeer unveiling their new 9.45 joule per terahash miner as Bitcoin hash price remains under pressure. Again, same question. Who will plug these in right now? Is it going to be largely Bitdeer themselves that plug them in at scale, or do we find partners that will do it and buy these machines from them? We have a 886 terahash machine consuming 8.4 kilowatts. The A4 Pro Hydro delivers 680 terahashes at 10.9 joules per terahash, while the A4 Pro Air is rated at 336 terahash, the same efficiency level. So important to differentiate between the A4 Ultra Hydro and the A4 Pro Hydro. No doubt these will come at a significant premium. These efficiencies put us at a hash cost of roughly 13.6 per petahash per day, assuming 6 kilowatt cents per hour. If you want to know more about these kind of numbers, have a look at my HashrateUp Focus series, where I go into hash price and hash cost and all of that a bit more in depth. And then we have the new machines built on Bitdeer's prior Sealminer A3 generation, which was rated at around 12.5 joules. So another increase. What I notice in these is that the jumps are not as high, right? We've been jumping S19Ks were 23 joules per terahash. Now that's a 10 joule per terahash difference to the A3 generation. And now the next generation, the A4 chip, has only a marginal 3 joule per terahash dip in or bump in efficiency, which of course is less, and thus leads me to believe that hash rate is not going to grow as much from these kind of developments as it has before. Next up, Cango selling 2,000 Bitcoin in March after 4,616 Bitcoin February exit to cut debt, right? These guys largely influenced by Bitmain, also thinking about what they should be doing. You know, they have self-mining, they're leasing some of their hash rate as well to other people. And also they're looking to now replace some of the models with S21s and S21 XPs to upgrade their fleet a little bit. What's different here is that Cango, I don't think, is doing AI yet. I may be mistaken on that. However, they're trying to find a lean approach to their mining operation, as of course they're also under pressure from very low hash price. Cango saying, position the company to navigate continued volatility while advancing its longer-term push into energy and AI infrastructure. It's curious because Bitmain largely influences this company, and they need to buy 3 nanometer chips from TSMC to compete with the big guys like Apple and Nvidia and all of these other chip demand sources at TSMC. And so Bitmain really has to buy these chips and produce ASICs. And so the question is what they will choose to do going forward. Will they, use all of these chips to build Bitcoin miners, or and then do AI anyway. Very curious time to see what Bitmain does with all of that oversupply, because at the end of the day, they also have to to make money to survive, like we all do. Yeah, definitely gotta note that and keep tabs on that. Next up, we have CleanSpark shuttering 25 megawatt site in Tennessee because of a noise dispute. Apparently, they lost the battle here against a local community. Now have to shut down their Bitcoin mining site. Interesting to see whether they're going to use that to pivot to AI as well, convert it into something that doesn't make any air-cooled ASIC noise. Let's see what happens there. We have Soluna buying a 150 megawatt wind farm for 53 million to power AI Bitcoin data centers. Interesting here that they want to do joint behind the meter, I'm guessing, power generation projects, right? To see how Bitcoin mining and AI will sort of interject and play together in projects like this. Interesting to me at this stage is that they're reporting an effective, or that they're implying, an effective borrowing cost of 11 to 12.5%. So that is very high, I think, for projects like this. And it just shows you how much people are willing to accept, or how much money, or how high of a price companies are willing to accept to fund their build out for AI, because there's just so much competition and money flowing into it. Buying Bitcoin miners should be simple, safe, and fast. Altair Technology delivers exactly that. Based in the US and shipping directly from St. Louis, Altair eliminates all the shady messaging groups, customs and tariffs issues, and makes sure Bitcoin miners get to you on time. Altair stocks leading commercial ASIC miners, efficient home units, and all the critical parts you need, backed by real inventory, real support, and a team of people that you can rely on and actually mines Bitcoin. Thank you so much, Altair Technology, for supporting the show. And without further ado, let's get back to it. Next up, solo Bitcoin miner beats 1 in 300 year odds to win full BTC block. This is really nice and refreshing. It really happens a lot, I feel like. I don't know if it's just being over-reported in my feed, but considering the chances being 0.00 whatever 7%, it happens a lot that these solo miners are finding blocks. And it's a welcome shift in gear when you look at all of these billions being deployed to fund AI data centers. You can't forget about little guys hashing on Bitaxis and whatever else to find blocks. Definitely very cool to see that this is still a thing and happens regularly. Continuing though, 3 days ago, CoreWeave secures 21 billion Meta contract and targets 4.7 billion in new debt financing. It just keeps going. CoreWeave really was early to this whole development. I think they're going full throttle. And from what I can remember, they've also been first to really delve into this pivot, and they are not stopping. They're going full throttle. Next up is also CoreWeave. This is from 2 days ago. The last news was from 3 days ago. CoreWeave landing Anthropic deal, the company behind all the most powerful Sonnet and Opus models out there right now. Upsizes convertible notes to 3.5 billion. The billions keep on rolling. This also very interesting. We just saw the Kango news. This is from April 1st. Kango faces NYSE delisting risk over low share price. So things are really not going well. So how does this work? On April 1st, Kango Incorporated discloses a formal notification from the NYSE regarding its share price. The exchange issued the warning on March 10th after the company's Class A ordinary shares maintained an average closing price under $1 for the 30 trading days, concluding on March 9th. So if your stock price is too low for too long, you will be delisted. And obviously that hurts them when they're trying to pivot to AI as well and closes off a source of financing to them. Next up, Bitfarms nearing Keel rebrand, plans to sell 161 million in Bitcoin to fund AI push. I don't know if Saylor can buy all of that. Yeah, another Bitcoin miner selling their treasury to fund the pivot. I have no idea where this is going, but it just plays into the same story, I'm guessing. Same also for Mara Holdings, sells 1.1 billion in Bitcoin to retire a 1 billion in debt. So they didn't want that debt anymore, but they are also pivoting and need liquidity. And so they're selling the Bitcoin to do it. did a little bit of digging, so take this with a grain of salt. I did a little bit of digging with AI, ironically. I wanted to understand how much money was flowing into AI versus Bitcoin. And so Bitcoin mining from 2020 to 2025 raised about 35 to 50 billion across equity, debt, ASIC loans, and infrastructure, right? That's sort of what you can find on the web going through sources like the Energy Mag, Hashrate Index, Business Wire, EFT Trends, Blackstone, Deloro, blah, 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 right? So that was interesting to me. The number, keep that in mind, 35 to 50 billion total across 5 years. Now, AI infrastructure from 2024 to 2025, 700 billion to 1 trillion per year. So that's roughly 20 times Bitcoin mining's entire 5-year cumulative, right? We have Amazon, Microsoft, Google, Meta. So the big four going for 350 billion just in 2025. And so that's massive, right? The money flowing into AI, just to give you that comparison, is absolutely massive. And the thing is, they're competing for the same kilowatt hour. And it's a global game as well, right? It's very adjacent to Bitcoin mining in that sense, that it's global, that there's always demand seemingly. And if this is indeed a giant bubble, I have trouble believing that it will stop anytime soon. So those kind of figures just cement my theory that over the mid and long term, hash rate globally will have trouble growing to the same amounts that we've seen over the last 5 years, because all of that funding is not available anymore and the kilowatt hours are being spent elsewhere. And it's sticky, right? If you spend that money on AI and HPC, you build these tier 4 data centers, you're locked into that. It's not just quickly changing to Bitcoin mining should the economics change. So I'm very excited for Bitcoin miners who stay the course, who don't pivot, because I think if Bitcoin price keeps doing what it's doing, we have a scenario on our hands where hash price could go back to 60, 70, 80, maybe even 100, because Bitcoin hash rate can simply not keep up and the energy is being consumed elsewhere. Definitely worth noting. And it goes back to what we talked about in the beginning and this trend. I want to share this again, right? So if you look at this trend again and you keep in mind what I just said, right, it's going to be very difficult for me to be convinced that, hash rate is going to shoot up in a meaningful way once Bitcoin price goes back up again. Because, as I said, all of that power is going to AI. But if you have a difference in opinion, I would love to hear it. I would love to be wrong and have a discussion around this, because I think it's the most interesting debate that we have in Bitcoin mining right now. Anyway, this was the latest news roundup. I hope you have a great week. All the best. See you later.